Tonight on NewsWatch, freedom. New details on the Iraqi pastor finally released from prison and how God intervened on his behalf.
Plus, President Bush back in the spotlight. Why the world is taking time today to reflect on his 8 years as Commander-in-Chief. And heading out west where the gun debate is raging. Why law enforcement officers say Colorado is violating the U.S. Constitution. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. We begin with an encouraging story from Iraq. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin. And I'm Wendy Griffith. We've learned new information of what led to the release of an imprisoned Iraqi pastor. Pastor Jamal spent 21 months in jail, but tonight he is free, thanks in part to a bold step taken by a U.S. ministry. And our chief international reporter, Gary Lane, joins us now with this amazing story.
It is amazing, Wendy. Pastor Jamal's story is a remarkable testimony of perseverance and divine intervention. I talked earlier with World Compassion President Terry Law. He says Jamal had received treatment for a brain tumor before his imprisonment, but he continued to suffer headaches in prison. And that led Terry Law to make a personal visit to Iraq and U.S. Senator James Inhofe to write a letter requesting Jamal's release.
When the government leaders actually saw the letter, it had great impact. When we appealed for him, we did not do it on guilty or innocent. We did it purely on the basis that the man was probably going to die. And on a humanitarian basis, we pled with the authorities there to turn him loose.
And Terry, how have you seen God's hand in this entire situation, in him getting his freedom?
Well, when we walked in to meet Karim Sinjari, Jerry, I didn't know what to do. I'd never done this before. I'd never appealed for a man's life. And when I walked into this palatial building to meet with the Minister of the Interior, Karim Sinjari, I had been praying. I wanted God's wisdom. I felt like we were offering the Kurdish government an opportunity to be shown around the world as a place of openness for the gospel. When Karim Sinjari said, I know several hundred Muslims who have proselytized to Christianity, I couldn't believe my ears. It was shocking. And he said, we are going to demand freedom of religion here in the future. And again, repeated that we are the American success story in Kurdistan.
Law says he recently learned that God has healed the pastor.
I found out a day and a half ago that in the European city where we took Jamal, they've given him an MRI. They've examined him from every direction. And the incredible report is that he does not have a brain tumor. So Jamal is not a sick man. He is a well man about to have an open door to do what the Lord has for him in the future. It's an unbelievable story.
It really is, Gary. I mean, not only is he free, but he's healed. What's next for Pastor Jamal?
Well, you know, he hasn't seen his family outside of prison, spent time with them for almost 2 years now. So he has a wife, 3 sons, a daughter. They're spending time together, joyous time in Europe at an undisclosed location. And he's seeking the Lord, Wendy, wondering what the Lord has for him next.
Gary, what's the takeaway for Christians in the West who've been following this?
Well, the takeaway is this. Pray, pray, pray. Get on your knees and pray. God wants us to intercede for Christian prisoners in Iran, Iraq, Asia Bibi in Pakistan, Pastor Saeed in Iran, and it makes a difference. You see how God works and how he's responded.
The prayers of the righteous availeth much, not little.
And I have this whole interview with Terry Law on my blog.
Oh, fantastic. All right, they can see that at CBN.com.
Yes.
Thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Mark?
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says the U.S. has evidence that Syria used chemical weapons in its 2-year civil war. Intelligence reports conclude with, quote, some degree of varying confidence that the Syrian government used sarin gas. The quantity used and resulting casualties are still unknown. President Obama has said the use of chemical weapons would be a game changer. In a letter today to Congress, the White House hinted that a broad U.S. response was not imminent. The Israeli military says it shot down a drone sent by Hezbollah off the Israeli coast. It's the second known instance. Last October, the Israeli Air Force shot down an unmanned aircraft in Israeli airspace. Israel and Hezbollah fought a month-long war back in 2006 that ended in a stalemate. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Hezbollah may try and take advantage of the fighting in Syria to get more advanced weapons.
New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg says the surviving Boston suspect admitted that New York was their next target. Meanwhile, the mother of the two suspects says her sons were framed, even though the FBI told lawmakers today that she knew as early as 2011 that her son Tamerlan had been radicalized and that she sent text messages to family in Russia suggesting he was willing to die for Islam. Overnight, authorities also discovered a stash of fireworks in a used clothing bin in Watertown. Officials believe Tamerlan purchased the fireworks to make the explosives.
A new poll shows that former President George W. Bush is more popular now than when he left office. And today, America's 43rd president dedicated his new presidential library in Texas. Dale Hurd has the story.
4 years after leaving office, former President George W. Bush celebrated the dedication of his presidential library and museum today before a crowd of 10,000 people at the SMU campus in Dallas.
Franklin Roosevelt once described the dedication of a library as an act of faith. I dedicate this library with an unshakable faith in the future of our country.
The library will have a unique design, inviting museum goers to face the same tough choices Bush had to make through interactive exhibits with deadlines and ticking clocks. Laura Bush helped design the brick and limestone complex with many statues on display, including this one of father and son. All 5 living presidents put partisan politics aside to honor the 43rd president, including the 44th, President Obama.
Mr. President, for your service, for your courage, for your sense of humor, and most of all, for your love of country, thank you very much. From all the citizens of the United States of America, God bless you, and God bless these United States.
Presidents Carter and Clinton praised Bush for his fight against AIDS in Africa. Bush Sr. in a wheelchair gave just a 24-second speech and then jokingly asked his son if it was too long. George W. Bush ended his speech with his love for and faith in America, and then began to break down in tears.
Whatever challenges come before us, I will always believe our nation's best days lie ahead. God bless.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
President Bush certainly has a soft heart. Well, the defense rested in Dr. Kermit Gosnell's case without calling a single witness. Gosnell didn't testify either. The jury is expected to hear closing arguments Monday. Gosnell faces charges of killing a 41-year-old female patient and 4 babies born alive in his clinic. 3 workers already pleaded guilty to third-degree murder charges and have told of severing the spines of babies born alive to make sure they died. The assistant DA said that once babies are born, they deserve to be treated as human beings. Gosnell could face the death penalty.
Rhode Island is set to become the 10th state to legalize gay marriage. The state Senate passed legislation 26-12. The House has already approved it and the governor supports it. The measure does allow religious institutions to set their own rules for who is eligible to marry within their faith and specifies that no religious leader is obligated to officiate gay weddings. Well, joining us now with more is Peter Sprigg, Vice President for Policy at the Family Research Council. Peter, Rhode Island held firm for years in refusing to redefine marriage. What happened to make them give up the fight?
I think the drumbeat within the media has become even more intense this year than it had been in the past. As you said, Rhode Island held out. They prevented the same-sex marriage advocates from succeeding in their so-called 6x12 effort, where they wanted all 6 New England states to have same-sex marriage by 2012. But ironically, the oral arguments in the marriage cases before the Supreme Court led to an increase in volume in that drumbeat from the media, even though the tone of those arguments suggested that the court is not prepared to declare marriage to be a constitutional right.
The Rhode Island bill includes language that says faith-based organizations won't be forced to perform gay marriages, but critics say it doesn't go far enough to protect people of faith. What do you think?
The so-called religious exemptions in the Rhode Island bill actually provide no protections that go beyond what the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution offers, saying that churches do not have to recognize marriages within their faith traditions that conflict with their values, and that clergy do not have to perform marriage ceremonies that conflict with their beliefs, go no further than what the First Amendment would protect. In order to have true religious exemptions, you would have to exempt Christian colleges, universities, schools, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and even individuals, like the florist in Washington State who's being sued because she didn't want to provide the flowers for a homosexual wedding. So all of the so-called religious exemptions are really a fig leaf. There is going to be an inevitable conflict between same-sex marriage and religious liberty.
And quickly, Peter, what is the strategy at this point in time for those defending traditional marriage?
It's important for us to continue to stand strong. Don't believe the myth that's being promulgated by the media that same-sex marriage is inevitable. If we look at the map, it's actually almost entirely confined to one narrow corner of the country. The 7 of the 10 states that are expected to have same-sex marriage shortly are all contiguous in the far northeastern corner of the country. So I think we need to stand firm by the belief that society needs children. Children need a mother and a father. That's a compelling reason to define marriage as the union of a man and a woman.
Very true. Peter Sprigg, the Family Research Council. Thanks, Peter, for being with us.
Thank you.
Coming up, playing politics at the airport. Why some say all the flight delays are part of a White House tactic to raise your taxes.
My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Members of Congress want themselves and their staffs to be able to opt out of a part of Obamacare. Politico.com reports lawmakers have been involved in confidential negotiations for months. Congressional leaders are trying to avoid joining insurance exchanges like other Americans because they'd have to pay thousands of dollars in new health care costs. The move could cause huge political problems for Congress. But North Carolina Republican Senator Richard Burr thinks Congress should have to stay under the law. He says, quote, "I think if this is going to be a disaster, which I think it's going to be, we ought to enjoy it together with our constituents."
Air travel gridlock has gripped the country this week. The FAA is blaming sequestrian cuts. But Republicans say it's all political gamemanship designed to convince voters that the government should raise taxes. Heather Sells has the latest.
Beginning this week, every air traffic controller is being furloughed 1 day out of every 10. The move is aimed to save $600 million this fiscal year. The cost to the American public, flight delays across the country, except in Washington area airports, which have been miraculously spared. In the first 3 days this week, travelers experienced 5,800 flight delays. Compare that with the same time period last year, in which there were 2,500 delays.
We refuse to sacrifice safety, even if it means less efficient operations.
The FAA says the furloughs are the only way to achieve the needed cuts, but some lawmakers, many who voted for the budget cuts causing the delays, say they were misled.
The first question I want answered is, why didn't you tell us about it beforehand?
Republicans are questioning the cuts, starting with House Speaker John Boehner, who tweeted that the White House could make cuts elsewhere and prevent the delays. #Obama flight delays. Bill Frezza at the Competitive Enterprise Institute says the delays represent a political calculation.
And I don't think there's any doubt right now that there's an attempt being made to convince the American people that we will all be better off if we pay more taxes. And directing these sequestration cuts where it causes the most pain is part of a strategy that's going to be playing out over the months ahead.
And the Wall Street Journal noted, quote, making smart choices about federal spending would spoil the fun of creating flight delays and then blaming Republicans. What remains to be seen, just how fed up the public will become and what Americans will demand.
I honestly think if the American public screams loud enough, they probably will, but the public's going to have to yell loud and hard.
The FAA furloughs couldn't come at a worse time as the height of the summer travel season is about to begin. Almost 7,000 flights could be delayed daily, all because there are fewer air controllers to direct takeoffs and landings. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, new gun laws in Colorado have law enforcement officials up in arms. Find out what the laws are and why these lawmen are refusing to enforce them.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? Selectquote. Selectquote is impartial. They'll compare and shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. Selectquote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. Selectquote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to selectquote.com. Selectquote. We shop, you save.
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free medical alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Last December, gun control became the hottest issue in the country after the Sandy Hook shootings.
The call went out for tougher gun laws in states all across the country, but critics argue that these new laws will not prevent gun violence. Charlene Israel has the story from ground zero in the gun control debate, Colorado.
Tough new gun laws are popping up across the nation. In New York, certain firearms have been reclassified as assault weapons, and those who own them must start registering them. The law also limits the number of bullets in magazines to 7. Connecticut added more than 100 assault weapons to its list of banned firearms. As for ammunition, magazines are restricted to 10 rounds. Citizens can keep larger capacity magazines in their homes and use them at the shooting range. Owners of those magazines or the now banned weapons have until January 1st to register them. On the national level, Senate Democrats failed in their bid to pass new gun control measures. The bipartisan proposal would have created tighter background checks, ban assault weapons, and ban large capacity magazines.
This effort is not over.
President Obama says his administration will now take steps on its own without Congress. Possibly the biggest surprise happened out west in Colorado, where ammo magazines will be limited to 15. And expanded background checks begin July 1st. The move comes nearly a year after that deadly mass shooting at an Aurora movie theater. New gun restrictions here in Colorado have sparked intense debate, even among law enforcement officials. Some claim the new rules violate the Constitution, and they're refusing to enforce them.
You know, as sheriff, I was elected to set the priorities for my agency, and that's not it. Turning law-abiding citizens into criminals is not my priority.
Weld County Sheriff John Cook joins more than half of the state's 62 sheriffs, challenging the new laws in court. He believes the laws would make it harder for people who want guns for legal purposes to get them. About a dozen sheriffs spoke against the new laws during President Obama's recent visit to the state, a trip he made to push his administration's gun proposals.
We're filing it in federal court under the Second and 14th Amendment that if you outlaw magazines, you're outlawing the gun, basically. And the Supreme Court has already said you can't outlaw the guns. And so we feel it's an infringement on our rights as law enforcement officers and for the citizens that we protect. So we do believe that it's unconstitutional.
Sheriff Cook also argues the new rules give a false sense of security.
They're trying to make everybody feel good. These are feel-good, knee-jerk reaction laws, and politicians, what they do is they say, oh, well, we had a tragedy, so we need to do something. I think they give the people that are naive a false sense of security, like, oh, now we're safer, when actually we're not.
You have your Colorado driver's license?
Mel Bernstein runs the Dragon Arms gun shop in Colorado Springs. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold once visited the gun store before killing 13 in the Columbine school shooting.
The kids were here 30 days before they shot up the school. They wanted to buy an MP5 and an M60 machine gun.
Anyone wanting to purchase a long gun in Colorado must be 18 and 21 to buy a handgun. Because Harris and Klebold were both underage at the time, an 18-year-old female friend of the pair was going to purchase the weapons for them. The M60 is a fully automatic machine gun and requires a 90-day waiting period. Because the boys wanted the weapons sooner, they declined to purchase from Bernstein. There is no waiting period for shotguns, semi-automatic rifles, or handguns. The girl ultimately purchased a rifle for them elsewhere, something considered an illegal straw purchase. Bernstein says stricter gun laws won't stop criminals from getting guns illegally.
No matter what laws they make, the criminals are always going to get a gun. There's millions and millions of guns out there.
Sheriff Cook points to the case of the Colorado prison official gunned down at his home last month.
The murderer had a long criminal history. I mean, was in prison for many years. A woman bought that gun to give to him. So he didn't go in to get the background check. He had a friend do it who could pass one.
Coloradans are mixed on the issue.
I think there's some really good measures that they're trying to attempt to put in place, but with the widespread use and ownership of guns across America, I'm not sure that the current measures go far enough.
I'm not sure that it makes a big difference because you can really, I'm a physician, you can really do a lot of damage with 15 bullets. Being a physician, I'm a fan of mental health.
And these are the ones that are in support of my stance.
Meanwhile, Sheriff Cook isn't backing down.
My philosophy has always been an armed society is a polite society. And so we don't need to make it more restrictive. We need to loosen up the laws because we already have thousands of laws on the books with gun control. And so this is the wrong direction.
Charlene Israel, CBN News, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Oh. Healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today. Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
England's Prince Harry is following in his mother's footsteps.
He sure is. He was on hand to kick off the grand opening of a brain injury charity located in Nottingham. The organization is called Headway. Harry was greeted by dozens of screaming school children and toured the new headquarters building. During the visit, organizers had a good laugh when they made the prince practice his diaper changing skills on one of their dolls. They said it's good training for when he becomes an uncle. Princess Diana was a patron of this charity back in the 1990s. Good to see the prince out and about doing good works. And
he seemed a little nervous changing that diaper, though.
He better get used to it. I'm sure he's going to be needed.
Yes, he will be. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.